Philadelphia news, team of my heart.
What if I told you the Sixers had the perfect shot to land a generational superstar, but let it slip right through their fingers? This trade could have changed Sixers history forever. And guess what? The Lakers got him for almost nothing. This is the Sixers news you can't ignore. You've seen this team go through heartbreaks, year after year. You keep believing, keep defending the crest, keep hoping this will finally be the season everything clicks. But let's be real, how many times have you sat there, wondering why other teams always pull off those blockbuster moves, while the Sixers settle for almost? You remember that one moment, don't you? When the alert lit up your phone, the trade that shook the NBA. A top-tier superstar was gone. Just like that. Moved to a conference rival. You thought, how in the world did that happen? You hoped it was fake. You waited for the Roy bomb to say, correction. But nope, it was real. The Lakers, again. And you? You were left thinking the same thing every die-hard Sixers fan thought. Why wasn't it us? Why didn't your front office pull the trigger? Why didn't they throw everything they had on the table? The chance was right there, right in front of you. And it slipped away like Embiid slipping out of double coverage on a high pick and roll. It hurts, doesn't it? Not because the player left a city, but because your team didn't step in. Because you saw your rival get stronger while the Sixers stood still. While you stood still hoping, wishing, waiting for the Sixers news you actually wanted to hear. Now. Imagine this, instead of sitting back and watching the league change without you. What if the Sixers had acted like a team with nothing to lose and everything to prove? What if the deal had gone through and the superstar had landed in Philly? You know what hurts the most? The Sixers could have made that trade and not just match the Lakers' offer. They could have blown it out of the water. More picks, more upside, more immediate impact. The Lakers gave up next to nothing. You had everything lined up, and it wasn't used. What's even more frustrating is the silence. You didn't even get to argue about it because the Sixers weren't even in the conversation. You've seen this team package picks for players way below that caliber. So why? Not this time. Why play it safe when the biggest prize of the season was up for grabs? Let me walk you through what the Sixers had on deck. A deal that should have been on the table. A deal that would have tilted the power scale in the East overnight. A future all-star. A multi-time All-NBA veteran. And a war chest of draft capital. That would make any GM blink. But the trigger wasn't pulled. The pieces were there. The timing was perfect. And the front office, they hesitated. You didn't get the superstar. You didn't even get the conversation. And now you're watching another jersey carry what should have been Philly's dream. What makes it worse is this. The player traded was coming off a finals run. Not a player on decline. Not a gamble. We're talking about a franchise centerpiece who's still scratching the surface of his prime. A guy who changes not just a game, but the identity of your team, of your city. And here's the kicker: you wouldn't have had to gut your team. You wouldn't have had to mortgage the future. The core could have stayed. The culture could have grown. And you could have watched something real build right in front of your eyes. That player and Embiid, that's not just a dream. That's a finals ticket. You keep hearing process. You've been promised windows. But when the biggest opportunity knocks, it doesn't wait. And you know that. You've watched this league long enough to know the great teams act. The great GMs go for broke. The ones who wait, they watch. And they wonder, just like you're doing now. And that's the pain, isn't it? Not losing out, but never even being in the game. You stayed loyal. You showed up. You defended every move, every rebuild, every off-season press conference. You bought into the process. You stood tall through the drama, the injuries, the playoff exits. So when that trade happened, and it wasn't Philly pulling the strings, your stomach turned because deep down you knew. That should have been your front page. That should have been your player. And now you're left watching another franchise flaunt what could have been yours. Wild. Your Sixers are still playing it careful, playing it calculated. But you're tired of calculated. You're tired of next year. You wanted this year. You deserved it. And that move, that trade was your golden ticket. It was the move that would have made the East tremble. It would have sent a message. We're done waiting. And here's what's crazy, you had the assets. You had the blueprint. ESPN laid it out for everyone to see. You had a deal that, on paper, wasn't just good. It was better than what the Lakers offered. More draft capital, more talent with upside, a rising star, a veteran with a proven resume. It wasn't even close. If you had put that on the table, the Mavs would have had to think twice. But they didn't get the chance. Why? Because your front office hesitated. And you're left asking questions. Asking why. Why didn't they go all in? Why didn't they take the swing you've been begging them to take? You're not asking for a miracle. You're asking for ambition. You're asking for urgency. And here's the thing, you had urgency. You had a superstar in his prime. You had a fan base hungry for glory. You had flexibility, cap space, picks, and leverage. There was no better time to strike. And you know it. The moment was there. The lights were on. The league was watching. All the Sixers had to do was step forward. But instead, you watched another team steal the show. And it stung. Not just because of the player, but because it felt like your team gave up before even trying. Like they were satisfied with almost. And you've had enough of almost. This isn't just about one trade. This is about a pattern. About a team that keeps coming close, but never committing. You've been told to wait, to trust, to believe, and you did. But now it's time for action. Because that trade was a moment that called for boldness. And you know it. What's worse, that player fit everything Philly needed. A floor general, a scorer, a closer, a leader. Someone who could have taken the pressure off Embiid. Who could have made Maxey even more dangerous. Who could have redefined the culture of this franchise. Not just fill seats, fill the scoreboard. And don't get it twisted, this wasn't a fantasy deal. This was a real possibility. The Lakers didn't offer the world. They offered a star with health concerns. And a single pick. That's it. And the league just let it happen. You let it happen. But it didn't have to go down like that. Let's break it down again. Philly's offer? A veteran all-star. A young talent with star potential. For unprotected second-rounders. Do you realize how much more valuable that is compared to one pick? And a ticking time bomb of a big man. You had the better deal in your pocket. And still, nothing. You look back at how things unfolded and you realize this wasn't about can't. It was about won't. And that hits harder. Because when your front office won't make the bold move, it tells you everything you need to know about how serious they are about winning it all. You've got a championship caliber player already. You've got a fan base ready to erupt. You've got a city hungry for a banner. So why not make the move? Why not go get the guy who just dragged his team to the finals? Why let someone else rewrite history when it could have been yours? This isn't just a missed trade. It's a missed opportunity to rewrite the script, to flip the narrative, to give you, the die-hard fan, a reason to believe again, to watch every game knowing you've got the guy who can close it out. In the fourth, the guy who brings hope when it matters most. And now, you're watching him do it in another jersey, in a city that didn't need him as much as you did. That's the sting. That's the heartbreak. And it all could have been different. So now you're sitting there, wondering how it all slipped away. The player that could have changed your season, your future, isn't wearing a Sixers uniform. And yeah, you probably already figured it out. The name's been on your mind since the moment the deal hit the timeline. You heard the notification. You saw the headline. And your heart sank. It's Luke Doncic. Yes, that Luke Doncic. The magician. The maestro. The playoff assassin. The guy who just carried Dallas to the NBA Finals last season. The one who doesn't just play basketball, he orchestrates it. That's who the Lakers just stole. And your Sixers? They watched it happen from the sidelines. He could have been yours. Think about it. Luka Doncic and Joel Embiid on the same team. You and every other Sixers fan would have packed the Wells Fargo Center to the rafters just to watch. That duo worked magic. Luka threading no-look passes, Embiid dominating inside, Maxey exploding off the catch. You would have had a three-headed monster, and every contender in the league would have had to adjust. But instead, the Sixers front office stuck to its plan. And you're stuck with frustration. Because this wasn't about giving up too much. It was about not giving enough. Dallas didn't get blown away by the Lakers' offer they settled. And you know what that tells you? The door was open. Wide open. Let's rewind. Paul George might not be at his peak, but the man is still an elite two-way threat when healthy. Jared McCain. You've seen the spark, the attitude, the poise. He plays like he belongs. And those for unprotected second-rounders? That's flexibility. That's value. That's a package that could have made Dallas pause and think, wait, maybe this is the smarter play. But nope. You let the Lakers jump the line. And now Luka is playing under those bright Hollywood lights, while your team is once again asking Embiid to do it all. Asking Maxey to carry the load when the pressure's highest. And asking you to keep the faith. You've done that long enough, haven't you? You've stayed through the heartbreaks, through the broken rosters, through Kawhi's shot, through Simmons, through what could have been. But Luka wasn't a what if. He was real, attainable, right there. You look around the league now and you see the ripple effect. The Lakers are back in the headlines. The West is on edge. And the Sixers? They're in the same spot, good, but not great. Competitive, but not terrifying. A team with a ceiling when you were promised no limits. And here's the worst part. The league let this happen. No veto. No backlash. Just a superstar handed to a market that didn't need saving. You know the pain of watching another franchise get the player that was tailor-made for your team. You know what that feels like. Because it's not just missing out on a star. It's missing out on meaning, on hope, on believing that your team is finally done playing it safe. Luka wasn't just a player. He was the moment. He was the pivot point. And you watched it pass you by. Imagine the statement it would have made to the East, to the league, to the fans. That this front office is ready to stop waiting. That this team is done living in the shadow of the process and is ready to win. Now, today. But that's not what happened. So here you are watching from afar, wondering what could have been, what should have been. So I'm asking you right now, what do you think? Should the Sixers have pulled the trigger? Was Luka Doncic worth the price? Or do you think the front office made the right call waiting it out? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know what you think. And if you're the kind of fan who wants the truth straight, who's done with sugarcoating, and who bleeds Philly red, white, and blue, then you need to be here for every video. So hit subscribe right now and smash that notification bell because I promise you, the realest Sixers news is always coming straight to you. And the next one, you won't want to miss it.